Welcome to Ultimate Manhwa Reader. Today's manhwa is the martial genius who remembers everything. Enjoy the video and hit that notification bell as you like, comment, and subscribe to catch all our future series. Let's get started. Jin So-eun, leader of the Gajang unit. Your memory is truly remarkable. Thanks to you, all the records of the Murem Alliance have been restored. I am truly grateful. Murem Alliance leader, Supreme Purity Divine Sword, Yang So-ah. You told me to memorize them, so I did. You told me to restore them, so I did that too, and yet. This is how you repay me, with a dog's death, leader of the Sajung unit, Jin So-eun. I heard you even memorized the records of the Simhyun Pavilion, the Murem Alliance's top-secret archives. If someone like you were to collude with the demonic cult, our Murem Alliance could fall into great danger. For the justice of the Jianghu, the greater good, and the safety of the Murem Alliance, you and your memories must be erased from this world. The greater good. The Murem Alliance, danger. The Murem Alliance was already defeated by the demonic cult and fled, barely clinging to what's left of its existence. I'm amazed you still think there's any more danger left to fall into. The Murem Alliance will defeat the demonic cult and rebuild a stronghold for the Murem once again. The game Murem Alliance that fled to the North Sea, sacrificing countless people as human shields. Well then, I'll be looking forward to it. Let's see how you establish that greater good of yours. But you know, when I see you valuing your precious greater good more than human lives, it makes me think, who is in the demonic cult and who is in the Murem Alliance? You've been corrupted by the demonic coup to think I entrusted my life and the fate of the Tiyul sect to the filthy hands of the Murem Alliance. What a shame. But at the very least my death will be of my own choosing. Because I remembered everything, my life was a living hell. When the great war between the Murem Alliance and the demonic cult began, my junior brothers and I were dragged into the war as martial artists of a weak sect. However, the demonic cult was strong and the Murem Alliance was weak. In the end, the Murem Alliance decided to flee to the North Sea, and we were used as shields to buy time for their high-ranking officials to escape. The Murem Alliance came to me with an offer: memorize all the Murem Alliance's records. If you memorize and restore them at our North Sea base, we'll pull your junior brothers from the Tiyul sect out of the battlefield. You don't want them dying as human shields, do you? So I desperately memorized everything, however. Damn it, should I have gone to the battlefield instead of memorizing books in some archive? If I had, I could have sacrificed myself to help at least one more person escape. No, I should have trained harder long before that. Damn it, why did the heavens give me such a useless ability? If they were going to give me something, why not something actually useful, like internal energy? With death at my doorstep, I'm plagued by nothing but regret. If only I had been stronger. Strong enough to save my juniors, instead of begging others to protect us. I should have had the power to protect us myself. Jin So-eun, is this all you've got? Aren't you going to get up right now? What the this bastard, did he seriously just pass out? He's a total idiot. Your juniors held out longer than this, damn it. This cursed memory, now it's even. Remembering the pain, it hurts like hell. This place is the Tiyul sect's training ground. And, also, junior sister Hong, gross, senior brother Jin, what are you doing? Idiot Jianpayo, senior brother Jin, did something happen? Didn't we, senior brother Jin, did you eat something weird? What's wrong with him? What's going on? Is this another prank? Senior sister, senior brother Jin is being weird again, my juniors from the Tiyul sect. What the, are you crying? Senior brother Jin, my memory is still too hazy. But this isn't too bad. What's going on? What do you mean? By the way, junior sister Hong was actually really cute when she was young. I never noticed because she was always nagging me. Junior sister, I even miss your nagging right now. When we were young, I used to get annoyed because Jianpayo was a bedwetter. If I could go back, I'd wash those blankets with you 1,000 times. Senior brother, a bedwetter, why bring that up now? Jin Sowoon, to think I get to see these faces before I die. Hazy memories are the best. Are you pretending to be crazy because you're scared of sparring with me? If you don't pick up your sword right now, those precious juniors of yours will have to face me instead. Couldn't my hazy memory show me something good? This is too cruel. And of all the people, why did it have to be this guy? That Jai Qiaoyong, he was the precious young master of the Jai Ryong merchant group, who bought his way into the Tiyul sect with massive donations. Even so, you can't avoid this sparring match. Pick up your sword. He's a bastard who used sparring as an excuse to beat the Tiyul sect disciples half to death, hiding behind his father's money and power. Terrified of losing their financial backing, we couldn't even fight back and just endured the beatings in silence. Fine, fine, if you want it that badly. Since the heavens are pushing me to beat you up even in this hazy memory, I can't exactly refuse. Might as well settle some old scores. You arrogant bastard. He uses that sword technique that got me nothing but suffering countless times in my past life. Three Glories sword. Hyun Won-soo, a renowned Ronin brought in by the Jai Ryong merchant group, was the one who taught it. Three Glories sword. Its sword strikes are rough, unrefined, and brutally forceful, true to a Ronin style. Moreover, since it intentionally targets the eyes, the young disciples of the Tiyul sect were completely helpless against it. Even in the past, I memorized the forms and techniques the moment I saw them, but back then, I lacked the ability to dodge and counterattack. However, compared to those crazy demonic cult bastards I've fought since then, and the techniques I had to desperately memorize in that archive. Lesser Heaven Sword Technique. First basic form. The Lesser Heaven Sword Technique. This makes no sense. Hey, this feels great. Using our Lesser Heaven Sword Technique to beat this guy up. It's so damn refreshing. Jin Sowoon, blood, you dare whack my head with that trash tier Lesser Heaven Sword Technique, the head of the elder son of the Jai Ryong merchant group. Are you prepared to take responsibility? Why, Senior Brother Jin won. I didn't know Senior Brother Jin could do this. Even if you steal my taffy now, I won't cry. I'm sorry for secretly thinking you were pathetic all this time, Senior Brother. To beat up Jai Qiaoyong before heading to the afterlife. Oh heavens, I have no more lingering attachments to this world. I never want to let go of this hazy memory. Are you out of your mind, huh? What are we going to do if the Jai Ryong merchant group cuts off their funding? Think we were all just letting Senior Brother Jai beat us up because we're idiots. Why does this hurt? The juniors are already struggling to eat 2 meals a day. What are you going to do when we're down to only 1? Wait, are you going to take responsibility, not a hazy memory? What nonsense are you spouting right now? She killed Senior Brother Jin, Senior Brother wake up, I return to the past. When I opened my eyes, I was lying on a bed in the infirmary. It seems I fainted after getting hit by my junior sister, so while I was at it, I tried to piece together what had happened. First, it all started with the return of the demonic cult. The Murim Alliance, which stood against the demonic cult, was destroyed after losing the war, and our Tiyul sect, being part of the Murim Alliance, was also on the verge of annihilation. Meanwhile, because I had an unnecessarily good memory, I was tasked with memorizing and restoring all the books owned by the Alliance. I can memorize more, know every book and document in the Murim Alliance. I will record them in my head without missing a single letter. In exchange, please exclude my junior brothers and sisters from the battles. However, because that very memory could become an obstacle to the future of the Murim Alliance. After that, I thought I died, but when I opened my eyes, I returned to the past. And, thanks to all the memories of martial arts manuals left in my head, I was able to beat down Jai Qiaoyong, whom I absolutely couldn't have defeated originally. What in the world is going on? Come to think of it, my body and clothes have all reverted to this era, yet this jade dragon bracelet came back to the past with me. This is the bracelet of the demonic cult's guardian Dharma King, obtained through one of the few victories among countless battles with the demonic cult. I remember this bracelet suddenly glowing intensely the moment I stopped breathing in my past life. Why did that happen? Could it be that this bracelet has something to do with me returning to the past? Bring that bastard Jin So-eun out right now. I want to see the punk who struck our Qiaoyong's head with my own eyes. I apologize, it was our fault for lacking oversight, so please speak to me instead of So-eun. That voice. He is the legitimate heir of our Jai Ryong merchant group. Have you forgotten that although Qiaoyong is temporarily registered with the Teal sect due to our circumstances, you're surviving off our funding, and yet, should I just cut off the funding starting this month? I know that all too well. I am always grateful for the goodwill of the Jai Ryong merchant group sect leader, but seeing as So-eun also collapsed, it seems Qiaoyong hit him as well. We'll strictly discipline So-eun, so if you could just let it slide this once. While that other person is the father of Jai Qiaoyong, he's the leader of the Jai Ryong merchant group, Jai Yeonseok. Make sure to properly reprimand that Jin So-eun brat. How dare a lowly country bumpkin not know his place? This is why the Teal sect is in such a state. If you, the sect leader, had taught him properly to begin with, this wouldn't have happened. I sincerely apologize. The Second Life, Alright. Time to cause a proper shitstorm. Thank you for letting this slide so generously. I'll let it go just this once. Jai Ryong merchant group, Jai Yeonseok, Jai Qiaoyong's father. I heard you were desperately looking for me. Hello, I'm the lowly country bumpkin, Jin So-eun. Jin So-eun. That Jin So-eun, oh ho, so you're the little punk who hurt my Qiaoyong. Who are you calling a punk when there's barely any age difference between us? Alright, I regressed. Anyway, making such a fuss over getting hit on the head once during a sparring match. I guess when senior brother Jai enters the Murim Academy later, you plan to follow him there and make a fuss too. What? Didn't you use a cowardly trick under the guise of a sparring match to strike Qiaoyong's head? Besides, Qiaoyong isn't some child who needs to train at a place like your Teal sect. All you bastards need to do is serve him with utmost devotion until he enters the Murim Academy, and that's it. But what about the more than 10 junior disciples who couldn't get out of bed for days after being beaten by senior brother Jai? And speaking of sparring matches, if I may say one thing. The fact that you expect him to enter the Murim Academy with martial arts skills that get beaten by some lowly country bumpkin from a third-rate sect, you sure have wild dreams. You little master, please hold back, how dare you? You're acting this arrogant because you think you can take responsibility even if our merchant group cuts off funding to the Teal sect, aren't you? Responsibility. Although the Teal sect is part of the 108 Peaks, isn't it nothing more than a third-rate sect on the verge of ruin? If I put my mind to it, I could easily negotiate with any other sect. Is that what you want? But if that happens, wouldn't your Teal sect have to start worrying about tomorrow's meals? The 108 Peaks refers to the top 108 sects of the Murim Alliance. The Teal sect is one of them. How on earth did they even get into the 108 Peaks? Which means the Teal sect is a third-rate sect that has lost its former reputation and is a 108 Peak in name only. Anyway, there is one special privilege granted by the Murim Alliance to the sects of the 108 Peaks. And that is, during the Murim Academy entrance exam, one disciple per sect can be recommended for entry through special admission without a separate exam. In other words, Jai Qiaoyong is originally the legitimate heir of the Jai Ryong merchant group and is not affiliated with the 108 Peaks. But in order to enter the Murim Academy through special admission, he paid an enormous sponsorship fee and joined our mediocre Teal sect as a lay disciple. However, go ahead, what? I'll take responsibility, go ahead, but first, I'm really curious. There's less than a year left until the special admission evaluation. Why did you, the merchant group leader, pass over so many sects among the 108 Peaks and deliberately send your precious son to such a shabby place? Don't tell me. you were rejected by all of them. You little punk, in my past life we catered to every whim of the Jai Ryong merchant group. You arrogant brat, how dare you? How dare you? Do you know who I am to act so disrespectfully? We even recommended Jai Qiaoyong for special admission and got him into the Murim Academy. Get a grip on yourself. Do you not realize that the Murim Alliance no longer cares about the likes of the Tiyul sect? Keep in mind that the Jai Ryong merchant group is the only one that can save you bastards. Even after all that, once he entered the Murim Academy, you should keep in mind that the Tiyul sect is the only sect that can save the Jai Ryong merchant group. The Jai Ryong merchant group eventually cut off our funding. Begging others to protect you is useless. You must have the power to protect yourself. You impudent brats. I learned from dying once. But how will I handle this? Hasn't thought about it. Right now, my biggest task is just one thing: to become stronger. But with our trashy, inefficient Tiyul mental cultivation method and small heaven sword technique alone, growing stronger is difficult. Then there's only one way left: to obtain overwhelming internal energy through spiritual elixirs. Legendary spiritual elixir 10,000-year fire ginseng. One of the Murim Alliance's classified documents, the Jianghu Spiritual Elixir Book, contained everything from the discovery locations, appearance times, and movement paths of all spiritual elixirs that appear in Jianghu, and my head holds all of that information perfectly intact, so I plan to recall the records from the book. Then I'll find and consume all the spiritual elixirs one by one. But the problem is that gatekeeper. It's way more disgusting than the book described. Alright, obtaining the 10,000-year fire ginseng is the first step. With our Tiyul sect's small heaven sword technique, I'll subjugate it with a single strike. Like that would ever happen. My internal energy and swordsmanship are both weak. Is there any need to struggle pointlessly? Winning using what I saw in books is only enough to handle someone like Jai Qiaoyong. After storing hundreds of thousands of books in my head, I came to realize that outstanding swordsmanship isn't everything. Martial path swordsmanship, I don't care about any of that. Winning is all that matters. Thank you, you Murim Alliance bastards. 10,000-year fire ginseng, it has the effect of shedding one's mortal body and is excellent for increasing internal energy as well as both yang and yin true kai. It was discovered in a certain spiritual cave, where it was being guarded by a human-faced spider, a creature with the body of a spider and the face of a human. Human-faced spider, a spiritual creature that emits a toxic aura and sprays acidic liquid, wrapping animals in its web before sucking out their bodily fluids. Its exoskeleton is so hard that conventional weapons cannot wound it. The surrounding webs are highly flammable. Ambush it with a fire attack while it is feeding on prey. It's not enough. To think that even after eating this precious thing down to its roots, my internal energy has only increased by this much. To think I can only absorb this much after eating such a good thing. As expected, Tiyul's cultivation method is garba, highly problematic. No, am I the one who's garbage? Danshan that grew by an ant hair's size. At this rate, I won't be able to protect the Tiyul sect from the events that'll unfold in the future. In the Orthodox demonic Great War, low-ranking warriors will be used as meat shields. In this life, I have to make sure the disciples of the Tiyul sect don't die meaningless deaths. But to do that, I need to become a core figure of the Murim Alliance before the Orthodox demonic Great War begins. That's the only way the Tiyul sect can be protected. The first step was to enter the Murim Academy within a year, but I won't be able to enter the academy at this rate. If that happens, nothing will change. Think I need to increase my internal energy just a bit more. Internal energy, a spiritual elixir, right? Jai Qiaoyong's elixir from Mount Hua, right? It was definitely around this time. In the past, Jai Qiaoyong's father, Jai Yonseok, spent an exorbitant amount of money to buy the Mount Hua sect's spiritual elixir, the Snow Plum Pill, for his son. But the day before Jai Qiaoyang was supposed to take the snow plum pill, it vanished without a trace. The thief's identity wasn't ever identified. Since the incident hasn't happened yet, I still have a chance. Humans always leave a trace. I can find it. No, I have to find it. Monthly report of the Murim Alliance's Hefei branch. If I look carefully, there's definitely a clue somewhere in my memories. Murim Alliance entry and exit logs. Mission reports. I'll compile all the records I remember. I'll compile them and organize them using deductive reasoning. I didn't think being a walking archive would be this helpful. I'd gladly help myself to the snow plum pill. Why is the blue dragon bracelet suddenly glowing? What is this? The blue dragon bracelet is absorbing the human face spider's core. This is unbelievable. In the past, it was a spoil of war obtained from a battle won after much struggle, the blue dragon bracelet, a relic left behind by the blood-sucking demon, one of the guardian Dharma kings of the demonic cult. I wore to commemorate the victory and sacrifices suddenly activated and completely detoxified the wicked core of the human-faced spider it absorbed. And that purified aura naturally harmonizes with the T-Yule mental cultivation method within my body. As a result, if there's a will, there's a way, I guess. Thanks to the treasure of the demonic cult, my internal energy has grown stronger. Didn't the leader of the Jai Ryong merchant group use a huge sum of money and his connections to buy a Mount Hua elixir for his son? If he manages to enter the Murim Academy with his elixir-boosted internal energy, his life will really be set. Thank you for coming. Congratulations, Leader Jai. As expected, being born into a rich family is everything. Even a lack of talent can be solved by slathering it in gold. Well, as long as we get free drinks at the banquet, it's good enough for us. What exactly is the snow plum pill? Even within Mount Hua, it's second only to the purple cloud pill for increasing internal energy. And it's something you can only get a single pill of if you become a true disciple of Mount Hua. It's that precious, and my father managed to procure that precious spiritual elixir just for me, Jai Qiaoyang. Its effects are incredibly mystical as well, especially for strengthening the body's foundation. That damn guy, where is he and what is he even doing? Hong Saorion's sole daughter of the Teol sect leader. That day, I should have been the one to step forward, not senior brother Jin, because I'm the one who has to carry the future of the Teol sect on my shoulders. After the incident that day, senior brother Jin ended up leaving the Teol sect. Since Gyeonseok came to the Teol sect every single day, he probably thought leaving was his way of being considerate. What kind of consideration could he possibly show with that thick head of his? That idiot Jin So-eun, so you see, Jin So-eun, you big dummy. Saorion, why don't W senior sister? Senior sister Hong. Senior sister, you have to try this. Senior sister, the food here is really good, those fucking brats. Those Teol sect bastards, just wait until the banquet is over. You should eat the food in the dining hall. Why did you bring it all the way out here? Go ahead and eat. You must be hungry since you only had one meal yesterday. Ah, that expression. You were thinking about senior brother Jin again, weren't you? Senior sister always gets quiet when she thinks about senior brother Jin, right? Even though you're usually the loudest among us, you guys. Senior brother Jin probably hasn't had dinner yet, right? Should we save these rice cakes for him? Senior brother Jin really likes this meat. It would be mean of me to eat it all by myself, so I'll wait for senior brother Jin. Senior sister, if you don't eat right now, I'm going to snatch it all up and eat it myself. Seriously, where is he and what is he doing, leaving these kids behind? Jin So-eun, you huge dummy. He. So this is a famous elixir of Mount Hua, eh? Even the secret warehouse of the great Jai Ryong merchant group is nothing special. Let's see. If I eat this, I'll gain enough internal energy to master the divine palm of vast heaven's secret manual. I need to get out of here quickly. Goodness me, sorry about this, but I need this. Just as much as you do. A few days before the Snow Plum Pill theft incident. I came here after hearing you handle hard-to-find items. Do you happen to sell traps for catching people? Traps for catching people? Hey, you're an interesting customer. We are the best hunting supplies shop in Hefei. We have every trap imaginable, capable of catching anything from a small rabbit to a mountain-sized bear, except for people. Ah, then please give me some traps for catching tigers or bears. You're going to hunt with traps? That'll ruin the pelts. I'm not looking to skin them, so it doesn't matter. I just need ones that are sensitive enough to snap shut at the drop of a single hair, and strong enough to blow off a bear's leg. No, just strong enough to send them straight to the afterlife in one hit, probably. Kekek. I feel like I shouldn't sell these to him. 27 years of experience and intuition. I thought he'd be a hassle considering he made quite a name for himself in the Jianghu. Haha, that's my senior brother for you. That was way too easy, wasn't it? Hee. Haha, we two of Kangshin's 5 swords were worried for nothing. First, we should dispose of the body. The soul-chasing guest will need to be known as missing for a while. Before that, shall we take a look at the precious Snow Plum Pill, shall we? Okay. You seeing this brilliant color and smelling the strong scent of plum blossoms, it's most definitely the Mount Hua Snow Plum Pill we were looking for. You have 2 mouths to feed, but only 1 Snow Plum Pill. Hey. Who's there? Oof. How did he get so close? Junior brother, catch that thief right now. You don't have to tell me twice. Consider this the price for your sin of coveting something beyond your worth, if. What thief? You bastards are completely shameless. Is this what you're taught at Mount Kangshin? You guys were the ones who stole it first. And I'm telling you in advance, watch your scent. Ooh, jackpot. Junior brother, I was just telling you to watch your step. I don't know who you are or where you're from, but you are a truly cowardly bastard, seeing you're a sword-wielding warrior who resorts to such cheap tricks. Take off that mask and reveal your identity at once. Me. Like which sect I'm from or whose disciple I am, is that what you want me to say? How old-fashioned. I am the new owner of the Snow Plum Pill. And you two are going behind bars as the assassins who murdered the Soul Chaser. How about that? Wondering how I knew who the real culprits were. I found something strange while reviewing the records. The fact that all traces of the Soul Chaser vanished completely right after the Snow Plum Pill was stolen. And there was no emergence of a new up-and-coming expert who appeared to have consumed the Snow Plum Pill. So I looked up the records of every martial artist who had even the slightest increase in their internal energy during that period of time. Lo and behold, I caught their tail. It was highly likely that the Soul Chaser was murdered and buried. Assuming that at least 2 people split the Snow Plum Pill and consumed it, even if it wasn't enough to catch the public's eye, the ones who simultaneously experienced a rather sudden increase in internal energy without any apparent reason were. It seems you know who we are. Of course, I know you well. You're 2 of the Mount Kangshin sect's 5 swords, if you know that. Aren't you afraid of the great Mount Kangshin sect and the Muram Alliance? I didn't know robbers could report another robber they met while robbing. These cheap tricks. Did you think they'd work on me? Damn it, traps. Next, I'll rip off your mask and tear you limb from limb, so prepare yourself. Well done, junior brother. Are you running away? Junior brother, let's go after him. Careful, senior brother, he's heading toward another spot covered in leaves. That place is definitely full of traps, too. Ha, we just have to follow exactly where he stepped, so what are you worried about? As expected from my brilliant senior brother. Ha ha ha, what a shame, your flimsy tricks are futile. Kahaha, how about it? Are you starting to grasp the situation? Your life ends here. Ayug's how? Ha, color me surprised. You guys were smarter than I thought you'd be. To think of moving by only following my footprints, that was almost the right answer, but unfortunately the one thing you missed is that you had to step in the exact spots I stepped in. Accurately and without a sliver of error between these densely packed traps, hee hee. Erg, this is crazy. This makes no sense if you prepared traps this densely from the start. How on earth could you navigate through them so accurately? That's because my memory is the only gift the heavens gave me. The Teal sect of Hefei. Were they one of the 108 peaks? That is correct, Chief Strategist. However, haven't many powerful sects emerged in Hefei as well? It's about time we slowly replace them with a new peak. If it's a sect expanding its influence in Hefei, are you talking about the Qialgeom sect? It seems the rumors circulating within the Murim Alliance were true. These tea leaves were specially procured for you, Chief Strategist. Do they suit your taste? The rumors that Namgling T1 is backing the Qialgeom sect. You should know the rule is that sects of the 108 peaks are not replaced unless they commit a grave sin. Don't tell me. Has the Teal sect done something wrong? Well, the truth is, the Teal sect has been abusing their privileges too. I've heard they are using them to do business. Are you saying the Teal sect is using said privileges of the 108 peaks to satisfy their own greed? Please don't misunderstand. I'm absolutely not bringing this up because I wish to squeeze some other sect into the 108 peaks. However, the reason the Murim Alliance granted privileges to the 108 peaks was to honor those who fought alongside us during the most dangerous and difficult times in the past, was it not? I just seeing those meanings fade away. As a member of the Murim Alliance, it truly breaks my heart. The Snow Plum Pill isn't famous for nothing. It's now slightly over half a cycle. I've finally surpassed the internal energy of my past life. Excuse me. Yes, I'm coming. Young master, you finally come out. You didn't come out for days, so I thought something had happened to you. A lot of things did happen. Just bring me something to eat. Anything is fine. At this hour, the kitchen is already closed. I'll reward you handsomely. Oh, and I'll pay for a week's worth of room and board in advance. That lazy chef sleeping this early in the evening, I'll wake him up right away. As expected, there's nothing in this world that money can't buy. Thank goodness I used the Blue Dragon bracelet to secure some funds in advance. The Blue Dragon bracelet didn't only work on demonic beasts. It could extract vital energy from any living creature and absorb it into my true Kai. And I'm here to sell tiger skin. The tiger skin was a bonus. Well, finding a way to make money sure is nice, but the problem is the Blue Dragon bracelet's ability could easily get me mistaken for the demonic cult, which makes it a dangerous power. One of the 10 forbidden arts designated by the Murim Alliance is the Heaven-Devouring art, but the Blue Dragon bracelet's ability looks exactly like the Heaven-Devouring art. If the Murim Alliance catches me, it won't just be me. Everyone in the sect would be in danger. I absolutely cannot get caught. Young master, your food is here. How is it our chef really put some effort into this? Ooh, it looks delicious, thanks for the meal. Why isn't he leaving? Young master, have you heard the rumors by any chance? What rumors? Did you know the Jai Ryong Merchant Group recently held a banquet after obtaining a precious spiritual elixir, but the spiritual elixir was stolen right in the middle of the banquet. To steal a spiritual elixir without leaving a trace in such a crowded place, they must be highly skilled. Anyway, the Muram Alliance has sent an investigation team because of it. They're trying to catch the culprit. Young master, are you okay? Drink some water. Ah, no, I'm fine, so keep talking. The Muram Alliance did what? Ah, well, did the Muram Alliance find any evidence? The Muram Alliance sent out an investigation team to track down the culprit, or did they catch the culprit? If they caught the culprit, that'd be a huge problem, because I'm the real culprit. Doesn't that mean they just caught an innocent person? But they said the trail went cold immediately, so they couldn't find them. Oh dear, the owner must be devastated. Yeah, the banquet ended early because of that. It's a shame because we lost quite a lot of customers too, but thankfully there's going to be another banquet in Hefei, another banquet from the Jai Ryong merchant group. No, this time it's at the Iron Sword sect. They say they're holding a 7-day, 7-night banquet for the Iron Sword sect leader's goth birthday. It's peak season for us, so we're really looking forward to it. Hee hee. Right, it was definitely around this time. The Iron Sword sect leader's 60th birthday banquet. In my past life, my father had to kneel before countless people at the Iron Sword sect leader's 60th birthday banquet and apologize to the Iron Sword sect leader. And it was all because of me, Jin Soun, his son. This time, I must avoid going to the Iron Sword sect at all costs. Thanks for the meal. Never again, young master. I can't let my father suffer such humiliation because of me. Ever again, that's what I thought, so why the hell am I in the middle of a sparring match with the Iron Sword sect leader's grandson at the Iron Sword sect leader's 60th birthday banquet a few days ago? My legs are killing me. AKA the Jiamyundong brothers. Doing 100 downward strikes in this weather. Does this really help us train the Lesser Heaven Sword technique, Li Yunho? Where did the guy who said he wanted to be cool like Senior Jin Brother Jin go? When did I ever say Senior Brother Jin was cool? I just said I was proud as a fellow Tei sect disciple that he beat up Senior Brother Jai and mastered the Lesser Heaven Sword technique. That's basically saying he's cool, though. What do you think Senior Brother Jin is doing now? Isn't this the first time it happened? He hasn't been back for over a week, and he didn't even say where he was going. Could it be he's feeling awkward about beating up Senior Brother Jai back then, so he's not coming back on purpose? Do you think he left the sect entirely because he was worried the Jai Ryan merchant group might retaliate against us for what he did? What? Well, Senior Brother Jin was annoying at times, but he was a really good person. Why are you speaking about him as if he's dead? Oh. It's Senior Brother Jin. If I don't go to the Iron Sword sect this time, Father won't be mocked and forced to apologize. However, that was only one of the many things they did to humiliate me. Even after that, the entire Tei sect continued to suffer insults, both big and small. There's no need to overcomplicate things. I won't go to the Iron Sword sect. Not just me, but the entire Tei sect must not attend the Iron Sword sect leader's 60th birthday banquet. In order to make that happen, I'll need a good excuse. Oh, it's Senior Brother Jin. Senior Brother Jin, where on earth have you been, if it isn't the Jiamyundong brothers? Did you come out to greet me because I've been away for so long? Even the other junior brothers came out to welcome me. I'm touched. Senior Brother Jin, Senior Brother, I'm learning the Lesser Heaven Sword technique again. Senior Brother Jin, please teach me that move too, the one you used to beat Senior Brother Jai. Have you all been well? Have you been listening to the hall leaders? Yes, of course. Jin Soun, you punk. Senior Brother Jin, Senior Brother Jin. Yes, have you eaten? Where the hell have you been wandering around before finally coming back? Senior Brother Jin, Tei sect external hall leader Jin Soun's father Jin T-san. Fathers, what the heck? Why is he acting as if he reunited with his family after a long time? Father, never did I ever think I'd want to hug my father. Ah, a second life is such a beautiful thing. You little punk, did you think acting crazy would get you out of thanks to the fuss you caused with the Jai Ryong merchant group? the entire Tei sect almost ended up on the streets. The other hall leaders are making a huge fuss, demanding I catch you and crack your head open right this instant. I think his head's already cracked open. That bastard Jin So-eun is back. I've been waiting for you, Jin So-eun. What kind of cheap trick did you use last time? This time, let's have a proper duel. Senior brother Jai. Act so bright, Ack, what the hell are you doing now? I can't even, I'm blinded by your expert aura. Senior brother Jai, the effects of the snow plum pill truly are amazing. How could I possibly win against someone as strong as you? You. That's none of your business. Why are you provoking him? Didn't you hear the snow plum pill got stolen? Sure did. That's exactly why I brought it up. Saryeon, why has this kid been acting so weird lately? I don't know either. Well, he was always a bit weird, but hey kids, guess what your senior brother brought back? Wow, sweets, there's taffy too. Are we really allowed to eat this? Here, share it nicely. Anyone who hogs it all to themselves will be in big trouble. Yay, you brat, if you had money, you should have bought rice, not snacks. What's all this? Where did you get the money to buy such expensive things? Quit the nagging and go have some yourself, junior sister. Forget it, just don't leave again. What a dummy. Even when you were out, you were only thinking about the Tei sect. Right now, the Jai-ryong merchant group is so busy dealing with the snow plum pill incident and preparing for the Iron Sword sect leader's birthday banquet, they hardly even visit the Tei sect anymore. The sect leader also said we no longer need to walk on eggshells around them because of that issue. So you don't need to carry everything on your own shoulders. Don't ever suddenly disappear like that again. Junior sister. I never walked on eggshells, nor did I ever try to carry anything on my own, though. She's being weirdly nice, so I won't bother correcting her. By the way, only the Jai-ryong merchant group is going to the Iron Sword sect leader's banquet, right? I heard our Tei sect was attending as well. Damn it, it's already been decided. The sect leader was reluctant, but it would be bad manners to just not show up without a reason. No reason not to attend, Damn it, I need to come up with an excuse somehow. I will go to the Iron Sword sect, the rest of you stay here, father. What's with him? Why the sudden change? Russell, senior brother Jin. Here are rice cakes. Don't tell me, is this the rice cake from the Jai-ryong merchant group's banquet? They said it was super delicious, and I wanted to eat it with you, so I held back and saved it. But you brought so many expensive sweets, I should probably throw this away, right? You didn't eat it and kept it all this time, just to eat it with me, Honestly, if you came back a day later, I might not have been able to resist. Is that so? Nom, senior brother Jin. It's delicious, senior brother Jin, half of that was mine. Sorry, it was so good that I ended up eating everything. In exchange, Dongryong, you can have my share of the sweets too, really? Hey, he said those are all mine. What are you talking about? Did you even give him the rice cakes? Hurry up, the rice cakes must have been hard considering how old it was, junior sister Hong. Even if we skip this banquet, next time and the time after that, the Iron Sword sect will keep inviting us to their banquets, won't they? If there's something to celebrate, then probably. As I thought, I can't let that happen, We'd have to endure endless insults, 10 times, 100 times over, and so with those kids, that's just absurd. Let's go to the Iron Sword sect. The day of the Iron Sword sect leader's 60th birthday banquet, the procession heading to the Iron Sword sect. Jin So-eun. There is one thing you must obey once we reach the Iron Sword sect, and what might that be? Do not act rashly under any circumstances. Tei sect Khwa Hall leader Kang Ki-seok. Isn't it a bit too obvious that your words are aimed towards me? Did you come to the banquet instead of the sect leader just to keep an eye on me? You're already acting out of line. Why did you suddenly decide to tag along anyway? You're really too much, Hall leader. I want to hold back too, but what am I supposed to do if people keep provoking me? That's exactly what I'm telling you to hold back on. You caused trouble recently and didn't even come home. Are you going through puberty again? You never cared whether I came home or not before, so why the sudden interest? Phew, Hall leader, You've been hanging around my father so much. Your nagging style has become exactly the same. Fathers, is it just my imagination, you brat? At least now that we're outside the Tei sect. He's been awfully quiet ever since we decided to come to the Iron Sword sect. You brat, answer me. Ah, I understand. So even if they insult our sect and disrespect our ancestors, I'll just grin and bear. You little punk, are you in your rebellious phase? I changed your crappy diapers when you were a baby, and this is the respect I get. Ah, are we really bringing that up again? Excuse me, please step aside so we may pass. We have a companion who is already saving our spot up ahead. What kind of nonsense is that? Are you saying this entire crowd is going to cut ahead? Did I not just say our companion is already holding the spot? There's a limit to being shameless. Are you really trying to blatantly cut in line? Oh, do you even know who this person is to be raising your voice? Enough, I will explain. We have traveled a long way, and out of fatigue, we sent someone ahead to hold a spot. I am Gu Yongsa of the Qingjuk Fortress. The Qingjuk Fortress, if you recognize the name, don't start any unnecessary trouble and just yield a little, why don't you? The Qingjuk Fortress, isn't that the most prestigious sect in Nanjing, Jiangsu Province? Oh my, please excuse the rudeness. Go right ahead, haha, at least there's someone here who listens to reason. The Qingjuk Fortress. This Gu Yongsa bastard, the son of the Qingjuk Fortress master, he's a complete scumbag who later runs around with Jai Qiaoyang like they're sworn brothers. Their rotten personalities meshed perfectly. And along with Jai Qiaoyang, he treated the Tei sect disciples like absolute servants. Look at that merchant leader, he froze up completely the moment he heard our name. Kehei, a pig of a merchant leader and a sect that clearly looks pathetic, but wait, those uniforms. Aren't they the Tei sect of the 108 Peaks? The Tei sect? Isn't that the sect everyone questions how they even managed to get into the 108 Peaks? At this rate, their spot might get taken by the Iron Sword sect. Where did you say? The Jiangjuk Fortress, Yajuk Fortress, it's a sect I've never heard of before. Could you repeat that? What? Changjuk Fortress, hold on, I'm pretty sure I've heard of it. Where did I hear that name? Was it in the outhouse? This bastard dares to insult our Qingjuk Fortress. What is all this commotion? That woman it's the Iron Sword sect's beautiful wolf Iron Sword. Is the Blood Wolf Iron Sword with her? She's even more beautiful than the rumors say. Did you all come to my grandfather's birthday banquet? Hoping to see bloodshed, Iron Sword sect, beautiful wolf Iron Sword, Xiang Morin. The Iron Sword sect, an emerging sect that appeared a mere 150 years ago. They held no grudge against the Tei sect, but the fact that they settled in the same Hefei was the problem. There cannot be two suns under the sky. The Iron Sword sect was not satisfied with just expanding their influence, and wanted to seize the Tei sect's status among the 108 Peaks. Even before my regression, the Tei sect attended the Iron Sword sect leader's 60th birthday banquet. Hong Sa-ryon, Jai Qiaoyang, and I attended a banquet for people our age, and there I got into an argument with the Iron Sword sect leader's grandson, the Blood Wolf Iron Sword, Xiang Mohyun. Xiang Mohyun insulted the Tei sect and challenged me to a sparring match, and I stepped up to the match even though I knew I would lose. To stop the match, my father, upon finding out, knelt and apologized to the Iron Sword sect leader in front of countless people. It won't be any different this time. What is all this commotion? Did you all come to my grandfather's birthday banquet, hoping to see bloodshed? Beautiful wolf Iron Sword, what happened was, it was all this guy. The Iron Sword sect has no rules about reserving spots in line, so go to the back and be patient. And I'm late to introduce myself. I am Xiang Morin of the Iron Sword sect. I apologize for what just happened. It's a bit much to call it compensation, but may I escort the people from the Tei sect and the Jai Ryong merchant group? I heard there was a beautiful flower among the wolves of the Iron Sword sect. It seems the rumors fall far short of your actual beauty. You're too kind. The young sect leader is eagerly awaiting the people from the Jairayong merchant group and the Tei sect, so let's go. The Iron Sword sect leader's granddaughter, Siong Morin. Before my regression, Siong Morin had absolutely no connection with the Tei sect. Did my actions influence something, or does she have some other motive? We're here. It's huge, it's gotten much bigger than before. Surely it's not goodwill without a reason. I'll have to keep watching for now. Inside the Iron Sword sect banquet hall. Iron Sword sect leader Siong Chinwal. The person sitting inside is my grandfather, the Iron Sword sect leader, and the person next to him is my father, the young sect leader. Sect leader, young sect leader, have you been well all this time? It's been a long time since I've seen you both. Haha, leader of the Jairayong merchant group, put away the formalities. Why build such a wall between us? Qiaoyang is here too, it's been so long. Even now, when I think of missing out on a talent like you, I get so angry I can't sleep at night. Really, if it weren't for the absurd privileges of the 108 peaks, I would have taken him as my disciple. Ha ha ha, I'm dying of jealousy over the Tei sect, getting such a treasure while just sitting around. You flatter us, ha ha ha. Father, these are the people from the Tei sect. You should say hello, the Tei sect. I am Kang Kisiok, the hall leader of the Tei sect's Qhwa hall. I am the external hall leader, Jin T-san. I've seen you, Kang Kisiok, a few times at the Muram Alliance, and you, Jin T-san. Has it been 20 years since that incident? That incident. How is that fellow sect leader Hong doing lately? Looking at it, the young lady you brought there must be sect leader Hong's daughter. And who is the other one? That child is the external hall leader's son. Looking at them, their comprehension seems completely underwhelming. Don't tell me those kids are your most outstanding prospects. Well, it's obvious what you get from developing at the Tei sect anyway. Don't waste your energy on useful things and just focus on pushing Qiaoyang forward. Pushing him forward definitely doesn't mean teaching him the Tei sect's martial arts, if he were to diligently train in that kind of stuff. We wouldn't want him ending up as a third-rate martial artist, after all. Good grief, it's not like he's some back-alley hooligan. But every word he spits out is so damn annoying. Yus, what the hell are you babbling about right now? I apologize, I meant to say it in my head, but it just slipped out. Are you calling that an excuse? Well, but honestly, isn't it true? Just a moment ago, you called my junior sister's father and the sect leader of the Tei sect, sect leader Hong, as if he were a friend. You asked about the accomplishments of the other party, which is something martial artists shouldn't recklessly ask about. And finally, didn't you pretend to know and tear down and ignore the martial arts of my sect, the Tei sect? Wouldn't anyone be angry hearing such things? What this? Still, according to the words of the sages, one shouldn't treat even an arrogant and rude person with discourtesies. This is clearly my fault. I offer my sincere apologies. Who the hell is that young kid? He's really bold, calling the Iron Sword sect back-alley hooligans. You bastard, are you not going to accept my apology? You ill-mannered brat. Sect leader, the chief strategist of the Muram Alliance, has just arrived. He's finally here. What are you doing? Hurry up and go greet the chief strategist. The chief strategist is here. Sect leader, let's go together. Let's hurry and go pay our respects too. Hurry up, Qiaoyang, I'm coming with you, father. Bring out the prepared gifts immediately. Shouldn't we go too? There will be hundreds of people rushing to form ties with the chief strategist anyway. It's 100 times better to just go inside and grab a good seat. Jin Soun, you bastard. What were you thinking, using such language to the young sect leader of the Iron Sword sect? Didn't I tell you so many times to behave yourself? What? Be honest. When you were talking to the young sect leader earlier, I saw everything from behind. If I hadn't intervened, you would have drawn your sword, no? That's... If I saw it, Siong Jutak must have known too. Siong Jutak was probably babbling on, hoping someone would draw their sword. We almost ended up kneeling and apologizing on the first day. Please, don't act recklessly. Can't you see the Iron Sword sect is blatantly trying to piss us off? I'm telling you to not unnecessarily step in shit and act like a gentleman as much as possible. you brat, I know that. And what exactly happened 20 years ago? You've had a sour look on your face throughout the entire reception. That's it. How about we talk inside? I'll lead you to a good seat, so let's go. That would be great, thank you. She's offering to lead us to a good seat, aren't you going? We need to hurry. A pleasant VIP seat with a clear view of a large, beautiful pond. Delicacies that we normally can't even dream of seeing. Why are the people of the Iron Sword sect treating us this well? She's even sitting with us in the front row. What is your name, young master? My name is Jin So-eun, but anyway, shouldn't you be going to see the Murim Alliance's chief strategist? Well, the rules say women aren't included in important matters anyway. I won't be punished just for not being there. The young sect leader of the Iron Sword sect has 2 children, Blood Wolf Iron Sword Seong Mo-hyun, Beautiful Wolf Iron Sword Seong Morin. The Blood Wolf Iron Sword Seong Mo-hyun grew up monopolizing all the resources of the Iron Sword sect and is considered the one who will eventually inherit the sect. On the other hand, the Beautiful Wolf Iron Sword Seong Morin, despite beginning her internal energy training at the late age of 9, she is a genius who will later enter the Murim Academy alongside the Blood Wolf Iron Sword. Rumor has it that the Beautiful Wolf's teeth are sharper than the Blood Wolf's. To receive such undeserved treatment from someone like you, it might actually be a good thing from the Tae sect's perspective. Oh my, to think you know about me. Are you that interested in me? I was just sharing the rumors I've heard so often. Is it really okay for us to be treated like this? Whatever, I don't care, hee hee. Anyway, I apologize on behalf of my father for what happened earlier. Since we've interacted with the Jae-ryong merchant group from the past, he must have acted that way because he deeply regrets losing brother Cheol-young. It's not too late even now, so you could just take him. Ho ho, you're joking too much. Anyway, there is one thing I'm curious about, young lady. With what intention did the Iron Sword sect invite the Tae sect here? Isn't a banquet most meaningful when many people gather to celebrate? Many assassinations in history took place during banquets. Hee hee, you are truly an interesting person, young warrior Jin. I'd like to share a meal with you to ease your suspicions, but it's time for me to go now. Well then, excuse me. Young ladies, huh? Young lady Seong, you are as exceptionally beautiful as the rumors say. Young lady, if you wouldn't mind, would you care to join us? Young lady Seong, tonight's banquet, please join me. No, join me. Young ladies. Young lady Morin, where on earth did she go? The young master is urgently looking for her. Ugh, I finally feel like I can breathe. To think among all these people, there isn't even a decent man, let alone a real warrior. Still, young Master Jin So-eun of the Tae sect was a bit interesting. His internal power seemed negligible, but even in front of Gyeongsa of Chingjuk Fortress, even in front of my father, the young sect leader of the Iron Sword sect, he never bowed his head and was actually confident. Was he not afraid of the Iron Sword sect, or is he just a crazy person? Hi. The young lady from the Tae sect I saw earlier and the dog, I mean Jae Cheol-young, where are those 2 going? Ah, come to think of it, those men earlier mentioned something about a banquet too, right? I think my brother said he would gather only the young disciples for drinks during the festival. Was that tonight? But why are only those 2 going? Is young Master Jin not going with them? This should be fun. Who is it? Hi. Young lady Seong, what brings you here at this late hour? Thank you very much, but I will have to rudely decline. It's been a long day with many events, so both I and the disciples of the Tae sect are physically and mentally exhausted. All of you, is that really true? Because I saw young lady Hong on her way there. Before my regression, I didn't manage to hold back against Seong Mo-hyun's provocations at this exact banquet we are heading to and ended up in a sparring match. As a result, my father and the Tae sect suffered humiliation to make it as if that duel never happened. That's why I tried to avoid attending this time. I guess I have no choice but to attend. I can't leave junior sister Hong alone in a place where the Iron Sword sect might have laid a trap. Are you saying that our Iron Sword sect would invite guests just to lay a trap for them? Huh? Do you really not know anything? Or is your acting skill even at a higher level than your martial arts? Ha, just like in the afternoon, you seem to be showing a massive inferiority complex toward the Iron Sword sect. Well, the Iron Sword sect's rules say women aren't included in important matters anyway. Could it be that she really doesn't know what her own people are plotting? It's true that we consider the Tei sect a thorn in our side, but even so, the Iron Sword sect doesn't act like a bunch of street thugs. Let me make a prediction. At this banquet, your brother Seong Mo-hyun will create an opportunity to trample the Tei sect, even if I step back. And eventually, he will turn the Tei sect into a laughingstock. I've misjudged you. I thought you were a righteous man who wouldn't tolerate injustice, but you're just a lunatic suffering from delusions of persecution. I also hope that it's just my delusion. Oh my, do you really think this makes sense? That the Tei sect is still part of the 108 Peaks, when an outstanding orthodox sect like Hefei's Iron Sword sect isn't. Even the excellent Jai Ryong merchant group is inevitably tied down to the Tei sect because of that damn 108 Peaks special admission. What a tragic situation, ahem. Haha, how come she isn't saying a single word of rebuttal? My friend, it's not that she doesn't want to rebut, she just can't. True, nothing I said was wrong. Still, I'm really glad, now then, that instead of senior brother Jin. Let's hear the Tei sect's stance. Stagnant, rotten water must be eliminated for the greater good. Does the Tei sect agrees? I am the one who came here. Well, I mean, we agree with that opinion, Ga. Isn't that the guy who caused a scene this afternoon? Oh, beautiful wolf Iron Sword. Young lady, if you are joining the banquet, please sit next to me. I apologize. I'm here just to guide a guest, so I'll be leaving soon. Jin So-eun, how are you with young lady Seong? Could you set up another drinking table here? You bastard, can't you hear your senior brother speaking? Senior brother is someone who just sits idly by, sipping wine while your sect is being insulted and your junior sister is being humiliated. Really, a senior brother? You little punk, enough, stop fighting. Senior brother Jin, why did you come here, and why did you? Well, I came instead because I was worried you'd cause another incident if you attended. When did I ever cause an incident? Anyway, while everyone is busy mocking the Tei sect, those two haven't even cast a single glance this way. I've heard a lot about you from my father. Perhaps you could join us for a friendly sparring match this time. He kept praising and praising you, saying your martial arts level is the most outstanding among our generation. Awakened Divine Dragon, Namgung-san, the eldest son of the Namgung family and part of the Dragon Phoenix Summit. He was called one of the hidden dragons of Anhui Province. And the Iron Sword sect's Blood Wolf Iron Sword, Seong Mo-hyun, the host of this banquet. Well, it's a shame, but my private chat with young lady Seong will have to wait for next time. Anyway, well, if it isn't Jin So-eun of the Tei sect. So, am I right to assume that you interrupted my conversation with your junior sister? Because you intend to answer on her behalf. I literally said that we agree. A pond can remain clear only when there is new water flowing in. However, that's under the premise that the new water is clean. Well, for instance, we have the Qingjuk Fortress here. Such a rising powerhouse of Anhui Province should have entered the 108 Peaks long ago. But why haven't they succeeded yet? That's because the existing 108 Peaks have been bootlicking the Murim Alliance so much. It's because of the Qingjuk blood affair that occurred 60 years ago. Brothers within the Qingjuk fortress drew swords against each other over the position of the fortress master. Don't get me wrong, they are an excellent and strong sect. However, if we were to fight against the underworld, and I was told to entrust my back to a group where brothers draw swords against each other, I'd rather not. Even the Murim Alliance would naturally feel uncomfortable to accept such a sect as a blood ally, you bastard. How dare you bring up the disgrace of our Qingjuk fortress? What do you think you're doing right now? No, I. Just as you said, to show such disrespect to a guest who came here by the invitation of our Iron Sword sect is the same as to disregard us. Huh, what are you talking about, brother? Wasn't Qingjuk Fortress the one picking a fight? Morin, do not interfere. I clearly saw this guy derail and ruin a constructive discussion. No, if senior brother Jin loses his temper here, there will be no turning back. Young Master Xiang, let me take the blame for. I apologize. It seems I have ruined this enjoyable banquet. I have no excuse, young Master Xiang. Senior brother, I also apologize to young Master Gu for recklessly mentioning his sex affairs. I was rash. We will leave now, so please let go of your anger and enjoy the rest of the banquet. Let's go, junior sister Hong. Ah, yes. Wait. You have insulted a guest of the Iron Sword sect in our own house. If we let you leave unscathed, what would happen to our face? As a disciple of the Iron Sword sect and the sect leader's grandson, I cannot simply let it slide with a mere apology. Therefore, I, Xiang Mohyun, challenge you to a sparring match. Ah, it's Yuzel's trying to avoid it. Ah, ha 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 ha, it's Yuzel struggling to stop it. Ha, what is meant to happen? See, I was right after all, will eventually happen anyway. You accepted the sparring match, just how do you plan to handle the aftermath? You shouldn't have gone to that banquet in the first place. If I hadn't gone, he would have challenged Saryon. And if you're going to scold someone, you shouldn't scold me but senior brother Jai for dragging her to a place like that. You punk, seriously, senior brother Jin is right. Yeah, hey Saryon, you understand what I'm saying, but you still should have held back, eh? Did young Master Xiang look like an easy target just because you beat senior brother? Do you really think our techniques will work against the Iron Sword sect? If by chance you get hit by that massive sword during the sparring match, you could, actually, die. Don't cry, and don't worry either. I accepted it because I have a plan. Who says anyone's going to die? Why are you crying? You just need to think about how you'll congratulate me when I come back victorious. Wahahaha. How can you make such lame jokes right now? You're making her cry. Let's calm her down first. External hall leader, are you just going to keep watching? Do something about your son. No, I can handle this myself, so you don't need to do anything. Please, just trust me this once and watch, okay? If you find whatever. Fathers, don't worry too much, everything will be fine. Next day, Iron Sword sect senior brother Jin. Senior brother Jin, junior sister, why are you in such a rush? The external hall leader is. I told you not to worry because I was afraid something like this would happen. Today, the day of the sparring match at the central training ground of the Iron Sword sect, the very thing I feared has occurred. What's going on that everyone is gathering like this? I heard a disciple of the Tei sect insulted the Iron Sword sect. Haha, what a fearless punk. The Tei sect dares to insult the Iron Sword sect. It looks like his father, the external hall leader of the Tei sect, is apologizing. The generous sect leader of the Iron Sword sect said he would forgive him if he truly repents. So that's why. Young sect leader of the Iron Sword sect, Xiang Jutak sect leader of the Iron Sword sect, Xiang Chenwal. Chief strategist, I apologize for causing you concern. Not at all, don't mind me and go about your business. To publicly reprimand him in front of me, the Muram Alliance's chief strategist. Muram Alliance's chief strategist, Zhuge Somyong. The Iron Sword sect seems to be determined to push the Tei sect out of the 108 peaks at any cost. My careless son has committed a sin worthy of death. I beg for your forgiveness. Well then, let's hear about this sin worthy of death your son has committed. He used words that insulted the Iron Sword sect. Oh my, like father, like son indeed. It brings back past memories of you. 20 years ago, you also. What are you doing right now? Please stand up. Why are you prostrating yourself like a sinner? Stay still. What father in this world could just watch his son get hurt unilaterally? And there is no child in this world who would just stand by and watch their father look so pathetic. Step down. What truly amazing paternal love. Your father is slamming his head against the ground, begging me to spare your life. it almost brings tears to my eyes. I will let you off just this once in consideration of your father's sincerity, so get down on your knees next to him right now. Father, I have already drawn my sword. From now on, your apologies hold no meaning, so please step down. So-woon, you, after all, I just want to show them that I'm not a man of just words. You foolish child. I will not disappoint you, just watch. I'm looking forward to seeing the skills of a grandmaster from the 108 Peaks. Let's see what you've got. Raised as the successor of the Iron Sword sect, Seong Mohyun grew up absorbing all the sect's resources. However, the sword of the Iron Sword sect is heavy. It has a bad matchup against the Tae sect's sword, which pursues lightness and speed. Lesser Heaven Sword technique first, I'll overwhelm him with speed. First basic form. Like a little rat. I know the Iron Sword sect is strong, but for him to be pushed back from the very first clash, just like the rumors say, the Tae sect really lacks talent. Is this all you've got? As expected of the Tae sect, you're nothing special. Shut up. This is just the beginning. Damn it, he's just absurdly strong. In the past, there was a man just like you, right? A man from a certain sect who didn't know his place insulted the Iron Sword sect just like you and had a sparring match with my father. What? Naturally, that man lost. If you apologize now, I'll forgive you. I cannot admit to a wrong I did not commit, especially not to those who have insulted my sect, and he paid the price for disrespecting the Iron Sword sect. Do you know what that price was? With the flat of a red-hot blade. His back, his chest, and his abdomen were branded as a punishment, and that man's name was Jin Tae-san of the Tae sect. What? How dare you look away during a sparring match? So-woon, senior brother Jin. It's meaningless, oh-ho. Even if I swallow the humiliation right in front of me like father, like son, I mean your lack of brains. Overcome the disgrace, pretend not to know, and cover it up with a smile. Seriously, how is this even a sparring match? He's no match at all. As expected, the Tae sect is pathetic. That shameful history will just repeat itself. Is that what everyone thinks? Lesser Heaven Sword Technique Yua, first basic form, that wretched sword technique again, as expected of a disciple from an insignificant sect. What if so, then I will. You little rat, what is this all of a sudden? How? What kind of trick did you use? Grow stronger and stronger. Lesser Heaven Sword Technique. First basic form. The point. Is this really all the Iron Sword sect amounts to? Where I can change the outcome? This insignificant. How dare you use such cheap tricks? Mountain Showering Sword Technique. Ugh, what? Ugh, is he trying to kill him? I can't see anything because of the dust. Use Lowly Bug. Kyukyuge. Keng Keng. No, how could this be? The Tae sect's swordsmanship is sharper than I thought. Moreover, it seems there's quite a gap between their actual combat experience. Above all, is young Master Mohyun being pushed back? What are you talking about? That guy must be cunningly using the dust to fluster young Master Mohyun. Does it even make sense for a mere sect like the Tae sect to defeat the Iron Sword sect? This persistent ill fate that has continued since the past. Even if I simply win this sparring match, it won't be enough to sever the long chain of this ill fate. Your rat-like flukes end here. What kind of trickery is this? There is only one way. Just wait, after today I will make the Iron Sword sect crawl beneath the Tae sect's feet forever. I, Seong Mohyun, the Blood Wolf Iron Sword, dropped my sword. Damn it, I, the Blood Wolf Iron Sword, am losing to a guy like that. Hi. Hyuga. Don't make me laugh. Strange, my internal energy keeps getting cut off. Because of this, I can't even perform my techniques properly. Even just holding my sword is a struggle. What is? Your training in internal energy is lacking. This is ridiculous. I, who absorbed all precious spiritual the presence of the elixirs of the sword sect, and being pushed back in internal power. Wait, could it be, now that I think about it, ever since that guy laid a hand on me earlier? Sorcery. You crazy bastard, in whose presence do you think you are, to shamelessly use sorcery forbidden by the Murim Alliance during a sparring match? He is a spy for the demonic cult. Apprehend this bastard at once. Enough. Grandfather. It's clear that guy used sorcery, grandfather. I felt it clearly. That bastard definitely learned the heaven-devouring art. The heaven-devouring art, if it's that, isn't it a forbidden art? Sorcery, forbidden art, those are words that should never be thrown around lightly. Those who use sorcery and forbidden arts are severely punished by the Murim Alliance, but conversely, if it is revealed to be a false accusation, the accuser will receive an even stricter punishment. Since that just came out of his grandson's mouth, the Iron Sword sect leader must be feeling conflicted. I should step in at the right time. Truly, it is incredibly pathetic. That guy and the others insulted our Tei sect, but I held back. I even apologized and backed down, but he demanded a sparring match, saying he couldn't let it go because I insulted the Iron Sword sect instead. His underlying motives were blatantly obvious. Clearly, to show that the Tei sect was weaker than the Iron Sword sect, and that the Iron Sword sect should be in the 108 peaks instead of the Tei sect. He probably wanted to show these things to the whole world. Even so, I accepted the sparring match, to win and prove the Tei sect through sheer skill. But when it looks like he's going to lose, he makes a false accusation of sorcery and, what did he say? Heaven-devouring art, such pettiness. It seems the Iron Sword sect has no right to join the 108 peaks. It wouldn't be bad to observe a little longer. Then is this all because of this Iron Sword sect's jealousy over not making it into the 108 peaks, to insult another sect for such a reason? Even so, falsely accusing him of sorcery is going too far. You can say that again. If things go wrong, even the person's sect could suffer. He ended up smearing mud on the Iron Sword sect's reputation. Grandfather, I am Xiang Moyon, the Blood Wolf Iron Sword. I have never lost to anyone my age in internal energy or martial arts since I was a child. Do you think it makes sense for someone like me to lose to a disciple of the Tei sect? Unless it's sorcery, how could I possibly lose? During the sparring match, I clearly felt my internal energy getting cut off and drained multiple times, and to confirm that, I continued the sparring match. This unworthy grandson, no, the disciple of the Iron Sword sect, Xiang Moyon, if this is not the truth. I will gladly accept the punishment for my sins. Ha. We will halt this sparring match here. Halt? By what right are you stopping a sparring match that has already been decided? Suspicion of sorcery has been raised, so we cannot just let it go. I must inspect your body. Are you still on about that? I mean, do you want to frame a small sect like the Tei sect just because you couldn't get into the 108 peaks? Then are you saying my grandson is lying right now? If I and our Tei sect are innocent, how will you handle the consequences? Shut up, seeing you drag this out makes you look even more suspicious. I will check your body immediately and then contact the Murim Alliance, and I will hold you and everyone in the Tei sect accountable. Father, this unfilial grandson, for the sake of the sect's honor which I value more than my life, will lay down his life right here, please. Forgive me. Qihua Hall leader, if I am crippled or die right here, please make sure no one touches my body until the Murim Alliance's disciplinary pavilion arrives. I Jin Soon of the Tei sect. For the sake of my honor and my sect's honor, which have plummeted to the ground due to the Iron Sword sect's schemes, I am prepared to die. and formally challenge the Iron Sword sect leader to a sparring match. You little brat, how dare you? Raise your voice in front of the Iron Sword sect leader. Father, tall leader. Where does a snot-nosed brat get off acting like an adult? Stay back. No father in this world would send their child to die first. All right, I will personally cut the Tei sect's lifeline today. Stop. Everyone sheath your swords. Chief Strategist. You should sheath your sword as well, Jin So-eun of the Tei sect. I cannot sheath my sword. You insolent brat, how dare you act so arrogant before the Murim Alliance's chief strategist? And your reason? When the Iron Sword sect used the sparring match as an excuse to insult our Tei sect, and threatened me by framing me for using sorcery. What were you doing, chief strategist? How can I trust a chief strategist like you? Insolent but brave. My words as the chief strategist are the words of the Murim Alliance itself, but it is true that I missed the timing to step in because I was too amused. Then tell me, what is it that you want? I want the head of the Iron Sword sect leader. A bold move. Wanting the head of the Iron Sword sect leader. In other words, a duel. The outcome is obvious. The boy will lose. If he dies during the sparring match, he will become a martyr who sacrificed his life for his sect and family. And the Iron Sword sect will become a group of scoundrels who ignored the ethics and justification of the Murim Alliance, oppressing the weak and causing their death. This incident will become a political excuse for a long time, eventually leading to the downfall of the Iron Sword sect. Hoo-hoo, how amusing. This boy has staked his life on his innocence. How certain are you, sect leader? Pardon, are you willing to bet your sect's signboard? Chief strategist, discovering and eradicating forbidden arts is a natural duty as a member of the Murim Alliance. Why would I bet my sect's signboard on such a thing? If you insist that I take responsibility, then, as the boy said, I will take responsibility with my sword. Your sword, you say? Very well, in that case. How does betting your divine weapon sound? The Iron Sword sect leader's divine weapon. The divine weapon said to have been used by the founder of the Iron Sword sect, passed down through generations of sect leaders. The ninefold sword. This is a provocation from the chief strategist, but why would he take the Iron Sword sect leader? Pardon, chief strategist, I didn't mean that I would bet the ninefold sword. I meant that I would participate in a sparring match. How could I possibly bet the Iron Sword sect's heirloom? Why is there a need for a sparring match? If the sect leader is right, we just need to examine the boy's danchin and it will all be over. Surely the sect leader isn't lacking confidence. Even to my eyes, today's situation was completely unreasonable. Could it be that, just as the Tei sect claimed, you were trying to use the Murim Alliance's backing to commit a despicable act? Very well, I will do as you say. Good. Are you satisfied with this condition as well? Now relax. I will now examine your body, so do not resist my Kai. He learned the heaven-devouring art, because the heaven-devouring art is a Kai art that absorbs the Kai of others. All kinds of different Kai coexist in the danchin of someone who has learned it. If this person's danchin is in such a state, this boy has not learned the heaven-devouring art. Pardon, he didn't learn sorcery. No, he definitely learned the heaven-devouring art, please believe me. Right, there's no way the Tei sect could beat the Iron Sword sect without sorcery. I can't believe it until I confirm it with my own eyes. I must check this. What are you? Myself. Urga, Iron Sword sect leader, what are you doing? Arg. Grandfather's, he'll die. So-eun, wake up, this can't be. Iron Sword sect leader. What are you doing right now? Damn it, there were definitely no traces of having learned the heaven-devouring art, but how? Iron Sword sect leader. For this despicable act. Apologize. For this despicable act, committed by you and your descendant. Pay the improper price. So-eun. Senior brother Jin. Sect leader, keep your promise. Okay. Iron, Iron Sword sect leader. You're awake in that case is. The show over now. That bastard definitely learned the heaven-devouring art. Please believe me, grandfather, he definitely used the heaven-devouring art. You still haven't come to your senses. Do you have any idea what we lost because of you? To think I was going to hand the Iron Sword sect over to a fool like you. Grandfather, please just listen to me. You foolish boy, don't even think about drinking a single drop of water until you've reflected on your actions. Grandfather, is the play finally over? Play, what do you mean? As expected, I can't just fool him with a half-hearted act. He's a genius among geniuses, let's not waste time. The Muram Alliance's chief strategist, Zhuge Samyang. If the martial world has Yang Soa, then the scholarly world has Zhuge Samyang. He passed away before my regression, before the Orthodox demonic Great War broke out, but he's someone people say could have prevented the Muram Alliance from suffering so much against the demonic cult if he had lived. Did you know everything from the start? Of course, I know everything. Provoking the Iron Sword sect leader to step forward on purpose, and using me to avoid a sparring match with him. You even earned their trust in the process of clearing your name. Furthermore, the blood you coughed up so pitifully back then was from you biting the flesh inside your own mouth. Now tell me, since when did you plan this? 12. Have you forgotten how to speak? Chief strategist, by any chance? Is that the ninefold sword I was supposed to receive first? Let me check the goods. Did you hear me? I wonder how much I can get if I sell this. Let's see. This disrespectful brat, sell it to the ninefold sword. It wasn't like I planned things a long time ago. It started when the Iron Sword sect invited the Tei sect, a sect they aren't even close to the 60th birthday banquet. Well, in reality, it's because I remember everything from before my regression, but I thought that if the Iron Sword sect tried to pick a fight at the banquet, that I should crush their arrogance completely. Then you're saying you also expected to spar with Xiang Moyon. Did you even anticipate that he would mention forbidden arts during the match? It's hard to understand. How did you make Xiang Moyon think like that? Answering anything more than this wouldn't be worth my while. What? Worth your while? What do you mean? You helped me get the ninefold sword, chief strategist, so I matched that by answering one of your questions. There are people in Jianghu who would wait days on end with 10,000 gold just to have a conversation with me. Isn't expect to gain something worth more than 10,000 gold by meeting you, so you're saying you have nothing to gain from me. Exactly, if you have no further questions, I'll be taking my leave. Here, will this suffice? Tell me how you expected Xiang Moyon to mention forbidden arts. It was nothing special, just like all outstanding prodigies. I simply used his arrogance, his inability to accept his own defeat. However, even I didn't expect him to spout nonsense about the heaven-devouring art or whatever. Though I did use something similar in reality. Fortunately, perhaps because the Jade Dragon bracelet purely filtered the energy it absorbed, even Zhuge Samyang didn't seem to notice that fact when he examined my Danshan. Then let me check the goods first if I may. These are the Iron Sword sect spiritual elixir, Iron Heart pills. Did the Iron Sword sect leader really give you these too? Thank you, to think you'd give me 3 of these precious pills. You're saying you were certain of your victory in the sparring match against Xiang Moyon. If that's the case, why didn't you win easily? If I simply won, people would have whispered that it was just a fluke. I wanted to ensure that the Iron Sword sect could never oppress the Tei sect again. Even if it was a coincidence, what if I hadn't been there? What if you had ended up being falsely accused of learning a forbidden art until the very end? If they examined my corpse, it would have been revealed that I hadn't learned any forbidden arts. If that happened, the Tei sect could have cleared its name and protected its honor. For that, you risked your life just for something like that. Did you say just the Zhuge family, the tradition and honor carried by that name? Do you think just the Tei sect lacks something like that? Amusing, how amusing. I knew it'd be more entertaining to take your side. Entertaining? What is this old man talking about? I'll give you another gift since you've entertained me. It's a 2-for-1 special, Admission. Instead of taking the Murium Academy's regular exam, which is known as the hellish regular exam, like the privilege given to the 108 peaks, this allows a single disciple to enter the Murium Academy unconditionally. An admission token. This means we can send another one of our Tei sect disciples to the Murium Academy. Are you really giving this to me? After you graduate from the Murium Academy, come to the Mantong Bureau where I work. Pardon. Overwork night shifts, never getting married, that Mantong Bureau. I'll make a position for you, excuse me. It's a place where the prodigies of prodigies gather to work, so you'll enjoy it too. The door is right next to him, so why use the window? So hurry up and come play act by my side. I don't. Ha ha ha, the Mantong Bureau is going to get very lively. The next day, Iron Sword Sect. Seeing how you're dragging this out, I'm even more suspicious. I will inspect your body right now and report to the Murium Alliance, and I will hold you and everyone in the Tei sect accountable. Pay the proper price. The Iron Sword Sect doesn't act like common street thugs, I just... What are you doing out here all alone, Lady Xiang, Kaya? Young Master Jin. Well, that is, I mean. You were too reckless. Reckless, what do you mean? During that sparring match. Why did you go that far? You risked your life just for something like that. Lady Xiang, are you saying the Tei sect should have meekly accepted that miserable humiliation? Is that what you want to say? No, that's not what I meant, I mean. I'm sorry. There's no way he'd accept words like this. If I were in young Master Jin's position, I would never be able to forgive them. But I understand, so please raise your head. It's not an apology from the person involved, but I'll accept it. I suppose hoping for an apology from the sect leader would be too greedy. That I'll definitely make sure my grandfather, there's no need for us to continue this chain of misfortune, is there. If you feel sorry about this incident, please take responsibility and change the Iron Sword Sect so it doesn't remain the same sect it is now. The Tei sect and the Iron Sword Sect have many differences, but aren't we all ultimately roots of the same tree known as the Murium Alliance? My older brother and my grandfather. Because they couldn't utter a single word of apology, they made things turn out like this. Lady Xiang, tears don't suit a warrior. Regardless, I am also a member of the Iron Sword Sect. Please think of this as my sincere feelings and accept it. What is this? Is today my birthday? Of course, this isn't to presume this is enough to forgive what the Iron Sword Sect has done. However, as you said, young master, I hope that the Tei sect and the Iron Sword Sect will have a good relationship in the future. I'm giving this to you with that hope. An item that only the most direct descendants within the Iron Sword Sect can receive. The Steel Protection Pill. A precious spiritual elixir that cannot even be compared to the Iron Heart Pill. Even if she's Xiang Moran, it'll be hard for her to get another one of these. Then, I hope we can meet again with smiles on our faces next time. I also hope that will be the case. A few days later at the Tei sect. Senior Brother Jin. Senior Brother Jin, guys, your senior brother is going to die. Are the rumors about you true? Senior Brother, Senior Brother, Senior Brother, I want to see the ninefold sword too. Senior Brother, huh? Yun Ho. What is it? A big kid like you isn't asking for a piggyback ride, are you? To be honest, I regretted joining the Tei sect. When people asked why I joined the Tei sect and said that I would never reach great completion with the weak Lesser Heaven Sword technique, I couldn't argue back when I heard those things. But that's not true anymore. Actually, thanks to you, Senior Brother, I've become proud to be a disciple of the Tei sect. So I'm going to train hard in the Lesser Heaven Sword technique as well, and become a much greater disciple of the Tei sect. Just like you, senior brother Jin. I look forward to it. I heard the news about the Iron Sword sect. I couldn't sleep a wink that night. Tae sect leader, father of Hong Saryo and Hong Mungi. You all worked hard, shut it, me too, just like senior brother Jin, the sect leader and the hall leaders, father. For the 150 years since the Iron Sword sect appeared, we have always been humiliated by them and just had to swallow it. Because we lacked strength, because our sect was weak, because I was incompetent. But So-eun had resolved it. A child achieved what even the adults couldn't do. It makes me so thankful and also ashamed. Haha, I'm being silly. Ah, right. Since So-eun has done something incredible, shouldn't we throw a feast? Absolutely not. Aren't you worried that throwing this one feast will make the kids' side dishes miserable for the next 6 months? We lack the budget. This is no ordinary occasion, is it? So what? So-eun protected the honor of the Tae sect. Does honor put food on the table? If the external hall leader insists so much, I'll pitch in with my own money. In that case, we will too. It's a small amount, but since the sect leader is stepping up. Oh my, so much from everyone. Thank you, I went and flexed. Father, are we really having a feast? A feast? What on earth are you talking about? I'm hard of hearing these days, so I can't hear you well, you know. With this much we can eat meat side dishes for all 3 meals a day. I figured as much. But it's a relief, he's finally back to his normal self. Out of the 3 Iron Heart pills we somehow ended up receiving from the chief strategist, 2 of them were given to me and Saryon, 1 each. And it was decided that the remaining pill would be gifted to the disciple who achieves the highest progress in the future. And Jai Cheolyong's father, Jai Yeonseok, he's crazy. Our sect leader is out of his mind. 3 guest houses for just 1 Iron Heart pill. Gosh, what a waste. He doesn't even think about the person running the finances. If you give 1 Iron Heart pill to our Cheolyong, I will give you 3 guest houses. I heard what happened at the Iron Sword sect. Our Tae sect was constantly facing difficult situations, but the senior disciple, Cheolyong, was just drinking and watching from the sidelines. The pride of our sect that was protected with our lives. Are you trying to sell off the pride of our sect? But thanks to that, the junior disciples of Busing Hall are working harder now. You brat, with 3 guest houses in Hefei, we could make enough money to buy 5 Iron Heart pills a year. He's acting like that despite being glad deep down that the sect leader acted so firmly. I'm heading out. Where are you going now? I'm sick of you always talking about money, father, so I'm going to earn some. You little punk, how are you going to make money? Aren't you doubting your son's abilities a little too much? Anyway, I'll be back. No, I'm asking where you're going, you brat. Where else to find where the money is? Wanga Village. Whoa. Is this the famous Wanga Manor? They say it's one of the top 3 merchant families in the world. It sure is magnificent. And I heard his precious daughter is a great beauty too. He's got it all really, anyway, with all the rumors about how pretty she is. Why hasn't anyone actually seen her in person? So Daddy's home, Wang Jiamsan, Lord of the Wanga Manor. Father, you're back. Wang Jiamsan's only daughter, Wang So. Did you have a good day today? Yes, I worked on some new embroidery today. I want to make a new set of clothes for you with this. It'll be a wonderful set of clothes, filling the room with things that emit cold air. Are you saying this can cure my daughter? No, it will only slightly delay the symptoms of her body heating up. There is no medical art capable of treating this. Lord Wang, I am truly sorry to say this, but your daughter, she will likely not live past the age of 20. So, is there anything you want? Your birthday is coming up soon. Ahaha, hairpins, clothes, ornaments. You've already given me everything I could ever want, but if there is something I want. I want to go see the marketplace. My room's windows are all sealed shut to keep the cold in, right? So sometimes I get a little curious about what the outside world looks like. Well, I know it's too unreasonable for me to ask. I wasn't going to tell you until it was ready, but I've actually been preparing a carriage just for you. It's taking some time to design a mechanism that can maintain the cold air like this room, but once it's finished, you'll be able to go outside as much as you want. Really, thank you so much, Father. This is the best gift ever. If it means curing you, I wouldn't hesitate to spend a fortune. We have taken your daughter. Who is it who dares to do this? Guards, listen up, find these bastards immediately and drag them before me. In the name of Wanga Manor, I will repay whoever saves my daughter with a grand reward. I'll reward them with a vast fortune, so whatever it takes. Find So-So, him. It has begun. The begging disguised as sponsorship from the Jiryong Merchant Group. No, should I call it a transaction? That transaction will inevitably end the moment we give the Jiryong Merchant Group what they want. What our Tae sect needs is true sponsorship. Well, for example, something built on sincere gratitude. And preferably large enough that we won't regret tossing the Jiryong Merchant Group aside. A massive sponsorship that can resolve our chronic financial deficit. Therefore, enter the prince on a white horse. Found it. Among the crimes reported around Hefei and Keio Lake during this time in my past life, I narrowed down a few records involving a young girl. Most were just house burglaries or discovering identified corpses, but there was exactly one report of an unidentified decapitated girl's corpse. Buried near this very cabin. Good, I'm not too late, then I'll immediately. We have a problem, huh? This girl's condition is weird. Her body is suddenly burning up like a ball of fire. What? Why the sudden change? There was no record of Wang So-So being sick. Damn it, the higher-ups ordered us to destroy all evidence if the plan hit a snag. We have no choice. We'll just have to kill her and bury the body. Kyuge. Who's there? Galug. That person is. This heat, it's as if her whole body is burning up. Her condition is far too severe to just be a simple cold. Are you awake? Who are you? I am Jin So-Woon of the Tae sect. I was just taking a casual night stroll nearby when I heard some suspicious noises coming from this cabin. I peeked inside and saw that these ruffians had kidnapped you, young lady. As a martial artist who upholds the principles of the Jianghu, I simply couldn't ignore it and stepped in. How was that? Your very own savior right here. I see, thank you so much for saving me. I am Wang So-So. I will tell my father of this favor and make sure you are rewarded. Lig. Oh my, it seems you have some sort of underlying illness. I will take you to a physician right away. Stand up, I'll help you. No. I normally stay in my room, the ice pavilion. If I'm not surrounded by cold air, my body gradually becomes hotter. If I force myself to move any more than this, all the acupoints in my body will burn up. I figured it wasn't a simple cold, but for her acupoints to burn up, what exactly is this illness? Underlying illness, acupoints, high fever. Among the documents I memorized at the Murim Alliance in my past life, there were many medical texts. There must be a record of a disease with these symptoms. Found at the Compendium of 10,000 Bottles. It's the medical text written by Gong Yakshun, the one known as the Second Coming of Hua Chuo, if it's this. Emits boiling fire Kai throughout the entire body, causes fevers, high temperatures, and severe pain. In severe cases, the acupoints can even burn up. Some are born with this condition congenitally. And when symptoms worsen, cooling the body with cold air can be of some help. Solar constitution. This is not an illness, but rather a bodily constitution, so there's no such thing as treatment. For a woman to be born with the solar constitution, of all times in this situation. When Wang So-So went missing in my past life, the Lord of Wanga Manor spent his entire fortune searching every nook and cranny of Hefei and the Keio Lake area, but he couldn't even find her body. The kidnappers, just like me, probably didn't expect Wang So-So to have such a huge problem with her body, since absolutely nothing about her condition is known to the public, and since someone on the verge of death has no value as a hostage, they must have killed her, mutilated the body, and hidden it. Wait, if the solar constitution is the problem, wouldn't using that method work? Excuse me. Young lady, I might know a way to change your constitution. Please tell me. I'll do anything, so please tell me. Young lady, changing one's constitution is not something you can easily decide on. What if I turn out to be a scammer? You subdued the kidnappers and saved me. Even though I'm not that old, I can at least distinguish between someone who wants to help me and someone who wants to harm me. All right. Then I will tell you what you need to know before the treatment. A similar case was recorded in a book in the archive. It's the story of the bare-handed Jade Maiden, a supreme master born with the lunar constitution. Because of her constitution, she reached the absolute pinnacle of ice arts. But due to that, she was unable to conceive. She sought out the divine physician of life and death and begged him to change her constitution. And the divine physician of life and death discovered a way to swap extreme yang and extreme yin constitutions. The bare-handed Jade Maiden had the lunar constitution and Wang Soso has the solar constitution, so if we reverse the treatment method, it should be effective. However, there is something you must be careful of. You must take a specially crafted pill every day, and there is no way to return to your previous constitution once the treatment is done. And since those pills are highly toxic, you must also practice energy cultivation every day alongside taking them. The only mental cultivation method I can pass down to you is our Sex Tei mental cultivation method, and if you learn this, you won't be able to learn any other internal energy cultivation method. It doesn't matter. I have no intention of becoming a martial artist anyway. What I want is to watch the flowers bloom in spring, fan myself in the summer heat, and go boating with my family in autumn. I want to hug my beloved family whenever I want and hold hands and talk with the man I love. I want to have children too. To grow old while spending my days like that, that's exactly all I wish for. Born as the only daughter of the Wanga manor, she enjoyed immense wealth, but due to her constitution, she could never enjoy any of the ordinary things others take for granted. All right then, oh, they're already here, yes. Young master, why are you? I'm sorry, but it would put me in a difficult position if you or the Wanga manor found out the identities of the kidnappers. Seeing as there's no reply from the carrier pigeon, something unexpected must have happened. Everyone move in quickly and secure the hostage first. And keep this in mind, no matter what happens, our identities could be exposed, so absolutely do not use that sword move. I didn't expect so many of you to swarm in like cowards. Especially from the noble Namgung clan. What are you, me, someone here to rain on your parade? Damn it, if things go wrong, we won't get out of this safely either. Above all, there absolutely cannot be any witnesses to this. Who sent you? Reveal your identity. That'd be my loss. I already know you guys very well. You guys, to be exact, you belong to the Namgung clan's Kankiong merchant group. And are Namgung Sangwon's secret lackeys. How do you know all that? Is that all? I even know exactly why you committed such a crazy act like kidnapping. No matter what you tried, the Kankiong merchant group just couldn't find a way to beat the Wanga manor. So you've stooped this low to cause chaos for them, haven't you? Namgung Sangwon really crossed the line, ordering the kidnapping of another family's precious daughter, since he knows our identity. There's no reason for us not to use the sword of Namgung, Kankiong Boundless Sword Technique. The Kankiong Boundless Sword Technique. Herc, you cowardly bastard. Cowardly? Is that something a bunch of guys ganging up on one person should say? Kankiong Boundless Sword Technique, this piece of shit. Second Furin. Ooh, you even know how to use the second form. Thrust, then an upward slash, step forward again, you should have come a half step closer, try again. You arrogant punk, are you mocking me? This makes no sense. How is a nobody like him, who came in from God knows where, overpowering the great Namgung clan's Kankiong Boundless Sword Technique? It seems you have some knowledge you picked up from eavesdropping, but you'd better stay on edge. The killing move of the Kankyong boundless sword technique that I am about to unleash is on a level that someone like you could never predict. Impossible. How did you devastate the Namgung clan's Kankyong boundless sword technique? Why so surprised? Did you think Namgung's sword was invincible? Ah, I guess you'd have no choice but to think so, since the Namgung clan doesn't even know of the existence of the sword-breaking formula for the Kankyong boundless sword technique yet. Now then, I will begin the treatment, young Lady Wang. I have a favor to ask. Is it okay for me to call you Oraboni? Now then, I will begin the treatment, young Lady Wang. A few days later. She's following along steadily. Her body might be weak, but her aptitude for martial arts isn't bad. I've made her eat specially formulated pills every day. You must chew it thoroughly. It tastes awful, and now that you have this, you should be able to make it yourself, right? It looks difficult, but I'll try making it, and pass down the method for making said pills. I also taught her the Tei mental cultivation method, so she could remove the poison contained in the pills. Good, if she keeps this up, Wang Soso should be able to live without any major issues. Is this the right way? Yes, you did well. Well, I've taught you how to make the pills and you've gotten used to circulating your Kai. So I think my work here is done. Now shall we head back to your home? Yes, sounds good. All right, then let's set off right away. What's wrong? I have one favor to ask. Is it okay for me to call you Oraboni? Haha, if that makes you comfortable, then call me that. Then please call me Soso as well. I'd like it if you spoke comfortably with me too. All right, Soso. Did you grow taller, junior sister Hong? I told you not to touch my hair. Ah, sorry, it's a habit. Women dislike this kind of thing, yeah. No, I think it's fine, really. Anyway, let's hurry. Your father must be waiting. So this is spring. This is spring? What do you mean by that? My room, the ice pavilion, had all its windows blocked with iron plates, and it was always frozen solid like the dead of winter. To think I'd actually get to see the spring flowers and trees I'd only heard about. Appa, I want to go hiking in the autumn mountains too. You'll have to train hard if you want to climb mountains. Will you be all right? I'm also a proper disciple of the Tei sect now, so I can just go train. I learned the Tei mental method too. Right. Be sure to explain it well to your father. And in the summer. That's the signboard with my father's name. That's our house. So hurry up, Appa. My father will throw a huge banquet just for you. He'll prepare an enormous reward for you too. All the branch managers of the Wanga Manor from across the country might gather and hold a festival. The food will be endless and the music will never stop playing. Sorry, I can only take you this far. Namgung Clan Guest House, did you promise me? You said you'd give the admission token to my younger sister, Genesis Divine Dragon Namgung-san. My younger sister, Xianhua, boasts outstanding prowess that is on par with any up-and-coming talent. Then she should easily pass the regular exam and be admitted. Don't you know what people call the Murim Academy's regular exam? Every year, hundreds of thousands of martial artists apply, but only 500 pass, a desperate trial. The standard exam of hell. From the start, I said I would test if Xianhua was worthy of the admission token. You should know that doesn't mean I'm just going to give it to her, shouldn't you? But Xianhua couldn't even take the test you mentioned, Chief Strategist. That's because someone more talented than Xianhua received the admission token. Someone more talented than Xianhua, that's impossible. You must be mistaken, Chief Strategist. Did you entrust the admission token to me? Am I in a situation where I have to convince you? I apologize. It seems the state of your family is getting worse by the day. To think the direct line of the Namgung clan is afraid of the standard exam. The Namgung clan strictly divided their work between the direct and branch lines. The direct line maintains the traditions within the clan. while the branch line manages the clan's business outside of it. The merchant group founded by Namgung Sangwon, the head of the Namgung branch line, is none other than the Kangkyong Merchant Group. As the Kangkyong Merchant Group grew, the power of the branch line also became stronger. Now, it's reached a point where favors had to be requested to the branch line when handling affairs within the clan. Even if they borrow the name of the Namgung clan to cause trouble outside, we of the direct line cannot do anything about it. Do you have a countermeasure? My grandfather, the patriarch, is researching the sword-breaking formula of the Kangkyong boundless sword technique at the moment. Is he crazy? That's a double-edged sword. The Kangkyong boundless sword technique is not a sword art exclusive to the branch line. It's also the direct line sword art. Because of this situation, I need the admission token, even if it's just for the sake of the Namgung clan's direct line. So regarding that admission token, may I ask who you gave it to? What do you mean, this far? What are you? You have to come with me. Not you might know this, but your disappearance caused an uproar all over Hefei. If I go with you at a time like this, it could cause misunderstandings. No, what are you talking about? The things you're worried about will absolutely not happen, Oroboni, so please let me repay you. Repay me, huh? Didn't you say you're a proper disciple of the Tei sect since you learned the Tei mental cultivation method? I'm perfectly satisfied with gaining a new junior sister. But right, don't ever forget to take your pills and circulate your Kai. Well then, take care of yourself. The daughter of the Wanga Manor has returned. Contrary to my original plan, receiving a reward from Wanga Manor has become difficult. There were far too many variables I didn't expect. Who would have thought Wang Soso had the solar constitution? I may have meant well, but I forced the Tei mental cultivation method on her and even changed her constitution. Even if I somehow make excuses and explain myself in the worst-case scenario, they might suspect that the kidnapping itself was a scheme I staged. So if I want to hide my real goal and lessen Wanga Manor's suspicions, the best thing to do is not accept a reward for now and hope they come find me themselves. If H. Wang Jumson is someone who knows gratitude, he'll come find me on his own and repay me. But what if he doesn't know gratitude? Then I saved a person, so I'll just consider it a good deed, and I said no, Is asking you to spare me just a moment of your time truly so difficult? How many times must I tell you, please leave? Well, our Saryon grew up so fast, she's even meeting men now. As her senior brother, I should at least see what kind of punk he is. I'm sorry, but have no intention of backing down, even if I must lodge here. Stop right there. I don't know how impressive a young master you are, but when a woman says no, acting so rudely and forcing yourself on her. You've returned just in time. This man is Jin Soun of the Tei sect, Namgung San, the Genesis divine dragon of the Namgung clan. This man has been looking for you this whole time, senior brother Jin. Why is Namgung San, who should be busy with Dragon Phoenix summit duties at the Tei sect? This never happened in my past life. Is it because I interfered with the Kangkyong Merchant Group? No, that can't be it. The Kangkyong Merchant Group is made up of Namgung Sangwon's branch line subordinates. Namgung San of the direct line would never move for the sake of the branch line. It didn't exist in my past life, but it does in this life. It's that, young Master Jin, I have something I must discuss with you in private. Prepare an annex and some tea. Senior brother Jin, where are you going? To pay my respects to the sect leader. It's not as if we had an appointment. Well, tell him to wait a bit. What's with him? Since when was he that respectful? Sect leader, your disciple Jin Soun has returned from an outing. Did something happen? You came all the way to greet the sect leader. Oh, come now, what are you saying, father? Yes, did you have a safe trip? I have a few things to tell you, sect leader, so I'll sit for a moment. You little, how dare you be so rude? External hall leader, it's all right, let him sit. It would be nice to share a cup of tea with Soun after so long. So, You say a child seemed to have been kidnapped, so you rescued her? Yes, but I found a problem with the child's health, so I had no choice but to teach her the Tei mental cultivation method. I am ashamed that I taught an outsider the Tei sect's mental cultivation method without permission. If I at least tell them this much, things won't get messy later, even if Chuang Jumsen comes looking for me. It's all right. Martial arts exist by nature to benefit people. If you saved someone with basic martial arts, then you have done exactly what you should have done. Well done, Sowoon. I am truly proud of you. By the way, did they not offer any reward for saving her? The Tei sect's standing has risen, hasn't it? Isn't that enough? You're such a materialist, seriously. Then, I'll take my leave now. There is a guest waiting for me, you see. How admirable, admirable, not at all. Goodness, as his father, I'm embarrassed. Wait, guest. Wow, it's really the Genesis Divine Dragon. Great hero Namgung Sen is so cool. I wish I had been born in a place like the Namgung clan. I want to learn even just the Namgung clan's Kankyong boundless sword technique. Hey, they even select their disciples with extreme care. Jin Sowoon. For one so young, you carry quite an arrogant aura. Most people lower themselves before me. Well, there are people like this from time to time. Those who bare their fangs, puff themselves up, and show hostility when they meet someone stronger than them. Is this because of the admission token? What? How did you? That was originally mine. The chief strategist never said anything like that to me. It was an item I requested in the first place, and it merely ended up in your hands by circumstance. How strange. If it belonged to you, great hero, why did the chief strategist give it to me? And shouldn't you be taking this issue up with the chief strategist? It doesn't seem like something to argue with me about. Or perhaps you failed to persuade the chief strategist, but thought it might be possible to take the admission token from the Tei sect, so you came here, hot. You have a gift for saying things that get under a person's skin. Since my words do not stray from reason, if they offended you, that would be your problem and not mine, great hero. The Genesis Divine Dragon, Namgung San? A Murim Alliance officer who already graduated from the Murim Academy with excellent marks, and an elite member of the Dragon Phoenix Summit. The reason someone like him is so obsessed with the admission token must be because of his younger sister, Namgung Xianhua, who is entering the Murim Academy this term. I am not asking you to return it for nothing. Naturally, I will pay a sufficient price. This is a jewel called the Seven-Hued Jewel. At the very least, it is a precious treasure worth enough to buy a 99-room mansion. Now that the direct line's power has weakened because of the branch line, he must be acting this desperate because she can't receive the family's help like he did when he entered. But that is exactly why, the reason I am trying to resolve this quietly, is all for your sake and the Tei sects. I hope you understand that. I find it even more disgusting. The sight of him cherishing his own family so dearly gives me chills. More than our hearts being torn out. I despise the way they shed tears over wounds on their own palms. If the martial artists of the Jianghu learn that you coveted something of the Namgung family, how do you think they will view you? And what of your master sect, the Tei sect? Well, go ahead and try. What? It seems you don't even intend to hide the fact that you look down on the Tei sect, great hero. That tone. Are you saying you refuse my offer? You must think you and your sect can handle the Namgung clan. Great hero Namgung, think carefully. Previously, the Iron Sword sect acted the way you are now, and got properly humiliated by me. How dare you compare the great Namgung clan to the likes of the Iron Sword sect? Very well, since you are so confident. Put the admission token on the line and have a sparring match with me.